Today, I said already before, today we're going to stop, we'll pause a little bit in the general Kuzari, the general idea of the Kuzari, and we begin, and we'll stop with the philosopher. And I want to focus on Mishnat Tshuva of the Kuzari. Now, that's a challenge. Why is that a challenge? Because the Kuzari never actually wrote on Tshuva. I need to be honest. The Kuzari never actually had spoken and said Tshuva is A, B, C, D. The only thing that the Kuzari did is wrote on the human being, wrote on the nation, and wrote on society, and wrote on our religion compared to other religions. So if that's true, if that's exactly what the Kuzari did, so how I can claim that I want to speak about the Tshuva? I think that the answer for that is simple. One of the things that Kuzari is most known about is defining the ideal Jewish human being. Not the ideal Jewish human being in terms of Moshe Rabbeinu. Not the ideal Jewish human being as in terms of a person that is outside of this world. Exactly the opposite. The Kuzari is known as offering a model for a simple person, model for me and you and everyone else, a models that we will be able, that each one of us will be able to fulfill. He calls this model the Hassid. Now, the word Hassid has different connotations in our days. A lot of times when we imagine Hassid, we imagine Chassidut. We imagine Lubavitch, it can be Lubavitch, Chabad, Breslav, Kumarna, Piasechna, Bobov, any other names that are familiar to you. But you need to remember is that Rav Aviad lived way before. And the Hassid, the human being, the human character that he calls a Hassid, is something totally different. So, why I claim this is basically the model of a Tshuva? For that, we need to learn a little bit more on the Hassid, but only as an introduction, I can say that if we define what is the ideal way to live our life, what is our ideal personality, we will know what it means to be Choser B'Tshuva, what it means to become the ideal person that these days, or the days of Elul, are trying to push us towards to. And it's not only that, he also writes, actually, the tip of the explanation of the Hassid is, for some reason, is Yom Kippur. And we will need to build it in a way that will be understandable. So what we're going to do in the next couple of weeks, or probably a couple or 3 weeks, is defining this Hassid, defining this character. You can find that, I think I brought the sheets, Ma'amar Shlishi, the beginning of Ma'amar Shlishi. Beginning of Ma'amar Shlishi, the Kuzari says the following. Zot Torat Oved ha'Eloah shelanu. He says, now I'll come and explain to you what is the model of what? Of our Oved Eloah. Of our person, the Jewish model of a person that actually worships God. Enu poresh min ha'olam. He doesn't leave the world. Ad sheyehu lemasa al ha'olam, ve'ha'olam lemasa alav. Rabbi Yehuda Halevi gives us a character. There's a character of a person that wants to feel really as a tzaddik, that wants to feel that he is, in some way, that he's spiritual. And the first ambition for spirituality is to do what? To leave. To leave the common world, to leave the modern world, to leave society. What happens when you leave society? So the world is a burden for you. But Rav Aviad says also exactly the opposite. If you're not part of society, you are a burden on society, because at the end of the day, you still exist. And society needs to define her relationship towards you. So you become a burden on society if you leave society. Let's go on. He doesn't dislike life. What a life. Life, one of the good things, actually, that God gave to him. Over here, Rabbi Yehuda Halevi already on the beginning defines that life, ha'olam, achayim, is what? One of the good things. It's the present. In Hebrews, there's a song, Elokim natan lecha b'matana, davar gadol, davar nifla. God, I gave you as in the present, what? Something great, something beautiful, something wonderful. And it goes on and gives a list. And one of them is a chaim. Natan lecha et chaim. He gave you life. Rabbi Yehuda Halevi seems that goes exactly with his perspective. Life is a great present. We'll explain soon why. And he says even more. Ve'eloah, and God, mazkiram kechesed. God treats life as what? As chesed. And that's an important point that I will speak about in a moment. Be'omro et mispar yamecha emale ve'arachta yamim. When he says, as basically in Sefer Shmot, that a person that will behave in a way he should behave, he will give him a long, long life, and basically, and he will have, and he will fulfill his destiny of days, the amount of days he was supposed to be in the world. What it means that life are chesed, and that's a point that is really connecting to the definition of the Hassid. In modern society, in Western society, we're used to look on ourselves as how? As rulers. Basically, we define. The Western society is a society of objects. We have a lot of objects. We contain a lot of objects. I can tell you myself, I just came back from the States, 3 years of shlichut, and I find myself with a lot of stuff. Boxes and boxes of stuff. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all this stuff. And now you will ask me, do you really need all the stuff you have? Do you really need all the boxes that basically pile a room till the ceiling? The clear answer is no. But I still have them. Why? Because we like to feel owners on stuff. We like to have objects. We love to feel like creators. But actually, life is something else. At least according to the definition of the Kuzari, life a chesed. The existence itself is a concept of chesed. It's a concept of chesed from a Kadosh Baruch Hu to the world. From a perspective of God, the world is not needed. Not only that the world is not needed, you can say even in some ways it's meaningless. From the godly perspective, the world is nothing. The existence of the world is chesed. It's like mercy in some way. Who is a Hassid? A Hassid is a person that admits, that understands that the world itself is chesed. And if the world is chesed from God, so therefore what? Not living in the world, not being part of the world, is basically pushing aside God's chesed. You understand what the Kuzari actually says over here? When you get a present, it's rude not to accept the present. The world is a present. The world is chesed. The existence is chesed. So it will be rude not to live inside his chesed. It's basically like telling a Kadosh Baruch Hu, thank you very much, but I do not need your present. Kadosh Baruch Hu thinks that we do need a present. And you can hear from it a little bit more in the character of the Hassid. Well, let's go on. Lehefich, exactly the opposite. Ohevu et haolam et arichut hayamim. The Hassid loves the world. He loves life. Sharem hamaknim lo et haolam haba. But why he loves life? Because life basically gives him what? The ability to be in Olam Haba. And we'll speak about this point soon. Ki kol maaseh tov shehu mosif ba'olam hazeh, ma'aleu madrega ba'olam haba. Every good deed he does in this world gives him a better spot, a better level, a higher level in Olam Haba. If we will stop over here, we can figure out what? It looks like what? Then what is the purpose of life in Olam Hazeh is? To get Olam Haba. We can see a contradiction already. Why contradiction? Because it's not necessarily not 100% contradiction, but a little bit. Because if on one side he said that he loves life and loves the world, the other side he says, no, you know what? Why he loves life? Because life will give him a better spot in Olam Haba. Doesn't fit together. So I think that to try and explain these terms of Olam Haba and Chesed, we need to understand a little bit more. Why the Chassid wants to get to Olam Haba? What is the ambition to get? What is the ambition to be part of this Olam Haba? And again, we need also not to be confused. A lot of people are confused between different terms. There's a term that is called Gan Eden. If you want to be honest, the simple Gan Eden that Torah speaks about is a place. There's actually no place called Gan Eden. There's Gan Be'eden Mikedim, right? There's a garden and a place is called Eden and Kedim. It's a place. It's a physical place in the world. There is a spiritual Gan Eden, and that's also a different term. And there's a term that is called Olam Haba. We shouldn't be confused between Olam Haba and Gan Eden. What we believe that is Sachar Tzadikim Atid Lavo. We shouldn't be confused from also Olam Haba and different term that is called afterlife. Because these are also two separate terms. What is Olam Haba? I heard from one of my rabbis that said, what is Olam Haba? And I think it's a great message. Olam Haba is the Olam Shememashmeshu Ba. Olam Haba is the world that what? That is coming, that is Haba. That's the next in line. What do I mean next in line? There are two perspectives how to live your life. Focusing only on the present, focusing on the moment, or preparing yourself. Focusing on the future. Both of them are extremely important. A person that doesn't live the moment, so he's crazy. What do you mean? He has a fantasy that he's somewhere else, or he's so intense in his learning, so intense in his, I don't know, it could be in a university, it could be in yeshiva, it could be everywhere, so intense in something else that he forgets from the moment. You can see there is in the movie Beautiful Mind, you can see an example, right? You saw the movie on John Nash. He's a great mathematician. You can see a wonderful example for that. He didn't live the moment. He lived the math. That's the reason he was a little bit socially awkward. He had his clothes were not matching. He didn't know what to speak. Because people was way better with numbers than with people. Because he didn't live in this world. That's totally living in the future. Totally living in a different place. Or something else. Living the moment in the name of the future. What I mean? Right now, if we check the moment, if we check what happens right now outside in the world, we'll figure out that, to be honest, the world is not such a good place. There are wars, there are diseases, people are hungry, and basically, we can't say that we live in the perfect society. People are corrupt. There's corruption. Not simple. A person can look on the moment and say, what? I need to stop. I can't be part of this world. I need to do what? To move aside. To disconnect from society. To go and run into to the desert. To live in the desert my entire life, not to be part of life. Because why? Because life is so corrupt. Close myself in a ghetto. Life is, because outside of the walls, life is corrupt. But, in the same time, you can say the opposite. You can say, right now, you're right that what? Right now, the world is not a perfect place. Right now, if I look, and if I check, I will see what? I will see that there is a lot I need to fix. We need to fix everything. We need to change almost everything. But at the same time, I'm capable to see what? To see Olam Haba. To see the Haba. To see the future. To see the next step. this type of perspective gives you what? Gives you the ability to behave exactly the opposite. To live the present and try to fix the present in the name of what? In the name of the future. And now a lot of people have this sense of Olam Haba. If you go and see the peoples that fight for recycling, for example. Why it gives this example? Because that's not a religious example at all. There are people that fight for recycling in the name of what? In the name that the future generations will have it what? Will have it better. And you can give examples in any terms, in any aspect, any other aspect of life. Some people fight for the future. The fight to make the world a better place, not right now, because they know that all the fighting will not fulfill anything right now. Stuff do not change in a second, in a moment. But the fight in the name of the future. You hear it a lot now. We have elections in the States. Both of the candidates say what? We are fighting for our children, for our grandchildren. What is that? Because everyone wants to be in some way a person of the future. Everyone wants to be a person of Olam Haba. But we need to remember, to really be a person of Olam Haba, first of all, you need to be where? Part of society in Olam Hazeh. Let's go on. That's the meaning of Ki kol ma'aseh tov shu mosif ma'olam hazeh ma'aleh madriga ba'olam haba. Every good action you do over here in this world picks you up in the next world. Every good action, we will do right now, it will make the world a better place. One of the singers said, for you and for me and for everyone else, right? One of the pop stars, I forgot the name. Doesn't really matter. So, and I think that's a point. That's a Hassid. How actually to do it?
So Olam Haba is not a spiritual Olam Haba?
There is also an explanation that Olam Haba is a spiritual place. And it could be, and probably it is. But at the same time, it has a lot of meanings. The term Olam Haba has meanings in terms of spiritual. You can find its meanings in different books like Derech HaShem Ramchal and all other places. But in the same time, it speaks also on our world, our physical world in terms of the future. I gave you, I think that's a quote, Olam Haba, Olam Shemashmeh Shuba, is a quote by Rav Aviad Sanders, the son of Rav Aviad Sanders. He spoke on Olam Haba, al Olam Shemashmeh Shuba. The world is coming already. Kol Yisrael yesh lehem chelek le'Olam Haba. This power of Israel is basically the power of Olam Haba. Is the power of making the world a better place for the name of the future, for the sake of the future. But how? How exactly? So for that I want to jump a little bit. And I want to go to Amud Tzadik Chet. To the last paragraph. It starts from the word Naniach. Let's start. Naniach. Let's assume. כי איש זה ירא אלוהים הוא וחסיד, אבל אוהב הוא לשוחח עם אלוהיו ביחידות, ולעמוד להתחנן ולהתפלל בכל התחנונים והבקשות שאפשר לו לזכור. אשר לתחילות המחודשות לא ימצא בהם הנאה, כי אם לימים מועטים, כל הזמן שהם חדשות, אך במידה שהם נעשות שגורות בפיו, אין נפשו מתפעלת מהם. והם באיזה יסוד לא לכניעה ולא לחניון נפש. וכך הוא נשאר יומם ולילה במצב שנפשו תובעת ממנו סיפוק צרכיה הטבעיים. ראייה, שמיעה, דיבור, פעולה, אכילה ושתייה, בחיי משפחה, בקשת רווחה פרנסתו ותקנת עיני ביתו, עזרה לדל וכיבוד התורה מעונו בכל מקום שיש צורך בזה. האם לא יתחרט על כל אשר אסר בו את נפשו? ובחרטה זאת הלא יוסיף להתרחק מעניין אלוהי שלו ביקש להתקרב. Over here it describes what? Let's translate a little bit. So let's assume that we have a Hassid. That we have a human being that wants to be a Hassid. And he says, for me to be a Hassid, I need to do what? I need to disconnect myself from society. Not only disconnect myself from society, I need to do what? I will write my own davenings. I will write my own tefillot. I will do my own spirituality. I will write, as I said, tchinot chadashot. Now what happens? So he goes to the desert and he finds the perfect spot. Really. What? He goes to the desert, this Hassid, and he finds the perfect spot. And what happens over there? What happens? He starts davening. The first day is wonderful. He feels like he achieved the next level. He can see almost the Merkava. He is awesome. So next day also, oh my goodness. He feels that he can look and see basically how the world is only as a reflection of God. The third day also, and it goes higher and higher and higher. But one day one day the point will come that what will happen? That being in the desert will not be so exciting anymore. That the new davenings that he prepared are what? Are not so new. He will start to be hungry. He will miss a conversation. He will remember that back at home he has what? A wife and children. And they need to have food. So what will be the conclusion? He will start to feel that he's wasting his time. And what will happen to him? He'll get depressed. And getting depressed is only pushing yourself further away from the Inyan Eloi, from the godly idea, from the godly ideal that he's so searching to, that he's really searching for. So a Chassid cannot disconnect himself from society. So what he can do, and that's what the Kuzari is asking. Kuzari is asking the Chaver, so what are the actions of the Chassid? If the Chassid cannot disconnect himself from the world, because then he achieves exactly the opposite, Chaver answered, you want to know who is the Chassid? Who is the Chassid? The Chassid is the commander on his own state. הנותן לכל יושבי את לחם חוקם ומספק להם כל צורכם במידה הנכונה. That does what? That give to all the people that live in the state bread exactly in the amount they're supposed to get. And he gives them all the money they actually need to have. והוא נוהג בכולם בצדק. And he treats everyone how? With justice. לא ישוק איש מהם. He will not take from any one of them more than he's supposed to take. Will not give to any other person more than he's actually supposed to give. כי על כן הוא מוצא את כולם בשעה שהוא צריך להם. נשמעים לו, ממהרים לענות לקריאתו. עושים בכל אשר יצווים ונזהרים לכל אשר יאסור עליהם. And that's the reason, because he's such a great ruler, because he is basically the perfect leader, that his people will do exactly what he wants them to do. That's a weird answer. What is a Chassid? A Chassid is a governor? Last time I checked, I'm not sure that our governor is a Chassidim. I have actually a based fact to assume that's not the case. So obviously we're not talking on our governors. So which type of governor we're talking about? And the Kuzari is asking, Lechassid shalti chalel Moshe. He says, one second Kuzari says, I asked you who is the Chassid, not who is the ruler. Now look what is the answer. Amar HaChaver, HaChassid hu HaMoshel. The Chassid, he is the governor, but of what? שהרי כל חושיו וכוחותיו הנפשיים והגופניים שרים אל משמעתו. והוא מנהיג אותם הנהגה מדינית ממש. The Chassid is a governor, but he's a governor on what? On his own body. Rav Kook writes in Orot HaTshuvah that even if one person would do tshuva, the entire world will be revealed. Yeh geula la'olam. Only one person does real tshuva. I think this perspective is connected a little bit to what we see over here. The Hassid is a governor. He is a governor on a state, on the world. But the state is what? The human being itself. We have over here an interesting perspective on human existence. Think about it over here. So if the Hassid is the governor, so who are the people that he's ruling on? If he is ruling, who are the people? Who are the people? At the end of the day, we're talking about who? About the person itself. What do I mean? Who is actually ruling according to the Kuzari? That's what will be the Hassid. But what is actually the Hassid if he is ruling on his own body? So which part of the body of the human being is the Hassid? The obvious answer will be what? The what? The mind? Some people will say the mind. Some people will say the neshama. It's not so clear over here. Who is this Hassid? Who is ruling? Let's go on. And he says even more. V'hu, this Hassid, ha'ish ara'ui lishlot. The person that is what? That is perfect to be a governor. Ki'ilu amad berosh medina. Because if he was actually a governor of a state, haya noheg ba betzedek. Kishem shenahag minhag tzedek begufo v'nafsho. The same way he treated his own body, he will be treating who? A state. Again, the Kuzari gives over here a perspective that you want to see who is actually mat'im la'anhaga. You should look how he behaves in his private life. Again, that's something that we are not. In our days, to be elected to be a president, what do you need to do? You need to be talented in what? Basically.
Selling yourself.
What?
Selling yourself.
Not selling. Also selling yourself, and in some way is using what? Your words. You need to be charismatic. You need to be a person that knows the science of debate, right? You need to be capable not to sleep a lot during the campaign. It's also not so simple. But that's basically the job. And what? A good actor. Yeah, a good actor. That's wonderful. That's a wonderful definition. No one checks other characters. What are your diet habits? Do you wake up every day on time? No one checks that. Do you fall when you have this small desire that every person has? Basically, every person is tempted by something else. One person is tempted by good chocolates. One person is tempted by playing video games. And one person is tempted by reading books more than actually needs to. Every person has different temptations. But can you stop yourself before you attempt for something? Before you attempt, or you just surrender? No one checks that. In some way, it's a classic definition of they ask big philosophers, what is the job of they saw a big philosopher. It's a famous mashal. They saw a big philosopher behaving in a terrible way, a big professor, and they asked him how he can do that. You just taught us ethics. So he said Pythagoras wasn't a triangle, and therefore the fact that I'm teaching philosophy doesn't mean that I need to behave with ethics. So I understand that the Kuzari actually goes exactly to the opposite way. The Kuzari comes and says, no, you want to know who is the real Hassid, who is the real ruler? Real ruler is a person that his personal life, his private life is what? Perfect. And now let's go on. And he says, שכן הוא חוסם את הכוחות המתהווים ומונע אותם מעבור גבולם לאחר שנתן להם חלקם וסיפק להם כל מה שממלא חסרונם. מאכל במידה ומשתה במשורה ורחיצה וכל השייך לה כפי הצורך. וכן הוא חוסם את כוחות הכעסניים השואפים להיגלות שלטונו, לאחר שסיפקם הייתה מחלקם בנצחנות, עד כמה שזו נחוצה לוויכוחים בחוכמות ובדעות ולשם גרה באנשים רעים. ואף החושים הוא נותן חלקם במידה שתולת העולם מפעולתם שבה אליו. And he goes on and he says basically the following. He says, a moshel on the body gives every part of his being, gives what? He gives basically what he needs to. If you're hungry, he gives you enough food. The body's hungry, enough food. You're thirsty, you drink enough. If you're a person that loves to, that likes to debate, so you will debate. He will give you the ability to debate. If you like to run, you will run. If you like to, I don't know, to read books, you read books. But everything exactly in the amount you're supposed to do. And I will ask you now a simple question. Why that's a Hassid? What's a Hassidut in doing this type of thing? Why is that the perfect example of a human being? Of a person that Rabbi Aviad wants me and you and everyone else to be like? I think again the answer is connected to what we saw before. The word Hasid comes from the word Chesed. The same Chesed we spoke about in the beginning, almost half an hour ago, the Chesed HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed when He created the world. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, He created a set of balances. Right? A set of balances inside nature. A set of balances inside what? Inside the spirit of the world. A set of balances inside the human being. If you look on creation, you see how basically the creation is designed in a way that everything balances each other. We have equations that are based on balance. Everything is balanced. And if something would have changed it a little bit more than the balance, what would have happened? Chaos, right? Balance is basically the secret of the existence of the world. So what actually happens over here? When the Chassid balances himself in the perfect way, he does what? He mimics who? He mimics Hashem. He mimics God in the perfect way. The same way God balanced the world He was responsible on, the Chassid is balancing the persona he is responsible on. But I think it's even more than that. I think the fact that the Chassid can balance the persona that he is responsible on, but at the same time be part of society, is probably the greatest quality of the Chassid. It's really easy to balance yourself when? To balance yourself out of the world. It's really easy to balance yourself when you're disconnected, when you're isolated. In some way, it's always easier to when you're inside a system, it's easier to keep the system. What happens when you're outside of the system? When you're not cocooned already? A lot of people that go to Weight Watchers, professional groups of watching weight, they see that what? The inside Weight Watchers are doing well. Inside the cocoon, isolated from everything else, being part of the system, they're doing perfect. But the second they leave the system, the real challenge starts. When they are part of society, and when they don't have already the point system, they don't have already this system and that system, what actually happens? The temptations are huge, are unspeakable. And now we're getting to the next stage. And the reason why the Chassid is the model, the role model of tshuva. Why the Chassid, in my opinion, the Mishnah of the Rabbi Yehuda Halevi is basically the point of tshuva and is the main example for us when we are going, when we're trying to define ourselves towards Yom Kippur. And let's see. I want to jump a little bit to Amud Kuf. Amud Kuf, the second paragraph. ולאחר שעשה החסיד לכל אחד מאלה כל צורכו. After the Chassid basically gave all the parts of his body what they need, ונתן לכוחות הטבעיים מנוחה ושינה במידה מספקת, and he gave his natural part to sleep enough, ולחיוניים ערות ותנועה די צורכן ושם פעולה בעיני העולם הזה, and the part that want to be active, he gave the ability to be active, הוא קורא לעדתו זו. He calls what? He calls his people, basically, he calls his powers of body. כאשר יקרא משה לנערץ לחילו הנשמע לו. The same way a great commander, a governor, will call his people, כי תבוא לעזרתו במאמציו להידבק במדרגה שלמעלה מזו שהשיג. במדרגה האלוהית העומדת למעלה מן המדרגה השכלית. לשם כך הוא מסדר את עדתו ועורכה במערכה כדרך שסידר משה רבינו עליו השלום את עדתו מסביב להר סיני. He says what? After the Chassid gave his body, gave all of his ambitions, gave basically, it's not paying the debt, exactly the opposite. He gave all of the power, all the powers of his body, all the powers of personality, the opportunity to fulfill themselves. He's saying, now each power by itself is wonderful, but all the powers together, they have the ability to do what? To take him to the next level. Maybe over here we can answer a little bit who is him. Each power of the human being by itself is what? Is a power. Some person loves to laugh, has a great sense of humor. And at the same time, he's really smart and can read a lot of books. To say that this person has a lot of sense of humor and has only a lot of sense of humor will be a mistake. To say that this person is only smart will be also a mistake. What is this person? This person is a combination of the two, right? And that's true also on other types of abilities, other types of senses. What is a human being? A human being is a combination of all the senses together. But when one sense is what? When one sense that didn't fulfill himself, or exactly the opposite, fulfill himself too much, other senses are pushed aside. We can't speak on a person raising himself up to the next level when he didn't really fulfill himself in this level. And at the same time, you can't speak on a person stepping up to the next level when you overachieved in this level. If a person has the ability to laugh and it didn't laugh, so how we can imagine that this person will actually grow to the next level? And that's a mashal he gives over here. Moshe Rabbeinu had put Am Yisrael under the mountain of Sinai. Each part of the nation exactly in his own spot. What it means? The idea of Rabbi Yehuda Levi over here is that the only way Moshe Rabbeinu actually went up the mountain was when each part of Am Yisrael was exactly in his own spot. From the power of everyone in their own spot, Moshe Rabbeinu had the ability to go up to the mountain, to go up and get the Torah. And maybe that is the secret also of tshuva. Rav Kook speaks a lot in Orot Tshuva on the different types of tshuva, and tshuva sichlit, tshuva gufani, tshuva tivit, and he goes on and gives all the qualities. Each type of tshuva is important. Each type of tshuva is needed. Only when a person did all the types of tshuva, what actually happens to him? He gets to the next level. He is a Baal tshuva, a real Baal tshuva. A Baal tshuva that fixes the world and makes the world a better place. But for that, all the powers need to be they need to be part of the ball game. All the powers need to be fulfilled. You can't leave any power excluded. The Chassid that is the governor What makes the Hassid the governor? I think that's the most sensitive part of Rabbi Yehuda Halevi over here. What makes the Hassid the governor? The balance itself. I want to claim that how a person becomes a Hassid when the balance happens. Only when you have the balance between, it's not that the person is a Hassid and then he's trying to balance like his body. Only when the balance happens, he becomes a Hassid. For being a Hassid, first of all, you need to have balance in all of your parts. You need to give liberty to all of your parts. You can't close any part in a dark closet. You can't be isolated. You can't be disconnected at all. And maybe that's the secret of tshuva. The secret of tshuva is not partial. The person that will try to do tshuva only with one aspect of his life will find out really fast that that's not the deal. He will find that he didn't change. The tshuva includes everything. The tshuva is total and includes every part and every aspect of existence. The tshuva includes every part and every aspect of who you are. That is the secret of tshuva. The secret of tshuva is that me and you and any other person over here, to be a baalei tshuva, we can't stop ourselves. We need to live the life till the end. Exactly like the Hassid. But when we'll know to balance the powers inside of us, we'll be capable to do tshuva, lashuv laHashem, to go higher to the next level. Because what it means to how it's lashuv laHashem, the same way Hashem did chesed with the world and balanced everything in a perfect way, us balancing ourselves in a perfect way is a mimic, is mimicking the chesed of Hashem and becoming a Hassid. And maybe that's the tshuva. Next week, we'll go on and speak a little bit more on the Hassid, a little bit more of the connections of tshuva, especially in the aspect of, okay, after we did that, let's say someone actually fulfilled that and did this type of tshuva, so why we need Rosh Hashanah? So why we need Yom Kippur? Why we need these special and unique days that the religious claim is that actually taking you higher.